Man, it has been pouring all day. I think it's perfect garage weather. Let's go. All right, up next, let's tackle these fuel lines. I know I desperately need a set of AN wrenches. You have to be super careful not to scratch these with a regular wrench. I like using little clips like this to just keep stuff out of the way. I think I'll just remove this whole deal to make pulling the engine easier. Alright, the final little plug on the engine harness is the knock sensor lead down here. So we'll just unplug that, and that frees up our whole engine harness. We can tie that out of the way to make more room for the engine pull. Alright, next up are these heater hoses. You know, we have to do a new oil pan gasket on the old Talon engine, and the oil pan on it has this custom oil drain setup that I did many years ago. I don't really want to run that. With the 68 HTA turbo, it uses a stock oil drain tube. And so for that reason, I'm going to use the stock Gallant's oil pan. So I'm going to rip that off now. So all but two of the oil pan bolts have these screw heads on them, and they're all the same length and type. Until you get to these last couple here, and you'll see they have a plain head, no screw head on there, and they're a different length. There's a little comparison shot there of the regular oil pan bolts versus the two shorter ones. You know we're making progress because we're onto our second ice cube tray. Nice. Alright folks, here it is, a 127-pound box of awesome from ShepTrans.com, touched by the DSM god himself, John Shepherd. This transmission was originally from my Talon. After we took it all apart and I sold the rolling chassis, I sent this up to them and they went all through it and just checked it over. And now it's ready to go into the Galant. I love this transmission in the Talon. It always shifted great, even at ridiculous RPMs. It took all the abuse. It was so great. So I totally look forward to having it here in the Galant. Now I actually have a story about John Shepherd. I've met him in person once at the shootout. Of course, he was racing his GTR at that time. So I got to meet him and just tell him how much I appreciated all the inspiration, all the cool stuff he's done. And now, if he were to tell this story, if he were to remember meeting this random dude at the shootout, he would say that I was crying, sort of in fanboy excitement. Now, my side of the story would be, I had this very powerful sunscreen that was dripping into my eyes and was causing a really impressive tearing. So it absolutely had nothing to do with the fact that I was meeting Shep for the first time, a man who I really admired and looked up to. So you'll have to believe my side of the story and ignore his. I was definitely not crying. I just want to say that for the record. I was not tearing up in joy and excitement. It was absolutely sunscreen. I actually haven't opened this box since I've got it. So let's check it out here. It's so beautiful. I'm tearing up again. I mean, for the first time. Because I definitely wasn't tearing up when I met John Shepherd in person. This is the first time. This is not the second time. Okay, there she is. My Stage 3 Shep transmission. Freshened up, ready to go. Oh, it looks so perfect. I just want to leave it in this box forever. Oh, just kidding. Let's get it out and check it out. So the Galant VR4 transmission on the right and the first generation DSM transmission on the left are very similar, but there are some differences. So the biggest difference is first gear on the DSM transmission is a 308, while on the Galant it's a taller 284. But from what I've read is it's a weaker gear than in the DSM transmission. I'm not sure, I haven't tested that myself, but I have heard of that before. So I think this might be an improvement going to the DSM gear set in that respect. Another difference is potentially, I'm not sure, I haven't been able to verify this, is in the shift lever mechanism. Here you can see the Galant's shift lever mechanism. And then we don't have both pieces on this one here, but here's the main arm on the transmission. So what I need to do is just measure those and compare for myself and see. They both have the letter K on them. So that's promising, I guess. I'm going to take that shifter arm assembly off of the VR4 transmission and compare it to the DSM. Okay. All right, well, there is a difference between these two shifter assemblies. You can see the DSM one on the right there is, I don't know, an inch or so, 3/4 of an inch longer. They're really similar, but yeah, that would definitely make your shift cables act weird, or you'd have to extend them or something. So we should be able to just swap that one out. Okay, this is great. So I can just slap this thing right on to our old DSM transmission. Perfect. Okay, sadly we cannot just put that on there. Look at it. It makes it look so terrible, this nice shiny transmission. Okay, we're gonna have to detail out this shift lever, obviously. Okay, here is the Galant transfer case. And here is the DSM transfer case. So right off the bat you can see the front case is different. Like I mentioned in an earlier video, the front case on the Galant version is aluminum, so the entire thing is aluminum, front to back. And with the DSM, this front part is cast iron. And they're both kind of dirty. Now I will say, picking them both up, the DSM version feels a lot heavier. So let's weigh them and find out what the difference is. All right, folks, here we go. The Galant transfer case. DSM transfer case. Since this transfer case has been around the block a few times in the old Talon, I'm going to send it off to Jack's Transmissions so they can go over it and give it a nice fresh rebuild. It'll be good to go for the Galant. Now to send it out, first thing I'm going to do is wrap it in this really thick garbage bag. Hashtag car guy baby life. First thing I'm going to do is wrap it in this really thick garbage bag. And then I'll put it in this big old heavy duty box. So let's do that.
Oh, this is so relaxing.
So in order to remove the oil pan, I realized I didn't have any of these plastic scrapers, which I really like to do the job. They get in there and get those stuck oil pans off without marring the surfaces, and they're really thin. Just get yourself a fresh set before you do the job. Oh, and I'd forgotten that you do have to lower this little cross member here in order to get the oil pan out. I didn't have to drop it completely, but I did have to loosen it. Here's a little peek into the underbelly of the Galant's stock engine here. So there's the shot of an oil squirter there. Really interesting. They squirt oil onto the bottom of the piston to keep it cool. Really love that. And it doesn't show on the camera, but the cylinder walls and everything look good from down here. Not the best representation, but from what I see down here, it looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to throw the old Talon oil pan on here, just with a couple bolts to keep it in place. I'm just putting this on temporarily. We'll clean off this surface and do a proper reseal later on. Ladies and gentlemen, my helper has arrived. Hello, Nana. Welcome to the garage.
Thanks, honey. I'm glad to be here.
That. Okay, come on this way. And just stand it up there. There you go. And you want to go first?
Well,
Okay, you're doing it. Yeah, you're doing it. Okay, now I'm going to swing around here.
Okay.
Thank you, Nana.
You're welcome, baby.
All right, folks, I think that's about it for today. Not a lot of garage time today. I have a date with my wife, so I got to get out of here. So with that said, thanks again, folks. We'll see you next time.